Hi everybody, welcome to the Yoga Collective. I'm Laura. Today we're going to be practicing a yin sequence that is designed to balance your dreams and get you ready for bed. This is Molly, she's going to be practicing with us. So all you need today to practice is a bolster, and you might like 2 blocks. I highly recommend practicing this sequence in your bed so that you can just drift off to sleep at the end of it. But if not, make sure your mat is in a soft and cushy place and you have lots of space around you. So we'll start with the bolster onto the mat, the lengthwise. And then turn so that the pelvis is at the front of the bolster. Spine to the bolster. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees open wide, like Supta Baddha Konasana. Feet together. And then you can just slip those blocks underneath the outer edges of the knees so that you're super supported, or choose to skip that. Now, if your low back is sensitive, you can always move the bolster back just a little bit more so that you have space in the lumbar spine and lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. Ollie already looks so comfy, so she's good to go. Soften the spine onto the bolster. And start by doing a little toe to head scan of the body. And if you find areas that are a little bit tighter, send the mental cue to soften and release. Relax the feet and the ankles, calves and the thighs. Soften your belly and the low back, the whole torso. Relax the shoulder heads and the arms, and soften the throat. And let the tongue fall away from the top of your mouth so that you can feel the coolness of your breath on the back of the throat. Now, if you're feeling especially energized and your thoughts are running frequently through your mind, lengthen the exhale to be a little bit longer than the inhale. And if you're feeling so tired you could float away already, lengthen the inhale to be a little bit longer than the exhale. Now, if you do fall asleep at any point in time, that's okay. Begin to send the breath all the way down the trunk towards the pit of the pelvis so that you're breathing like a little ripple, a little wave, down on the inhale, up on the exhale. About 2 more breaths here in this shape. And with your hands, reach to the outer thighs and close the thighs together like a little book. Heel toe the feet about as wide apart as your mat, or if you're on your bed, a little bit wider than hips distance, and close the knees together to touch. Bring your arms into a cactus shape, so you start to open the front body. And if that feels like a little too much on the chest, you're always welcome to tee the arms wide apart instead. Continue to iron out the inhale and the exhale. If you were lengthening one side or the other, begin to create evenness, samavriti, through the whole pranayama practice, the breathing practice. Now with the feet this wide apart, knock the knees over to the left in a really soft open twist. If your low back feels okay here, you can hook the left ankle over the right thigh knee area. Breathe especially into the whole right side of your body. Inflate the right low back with your breath, the right rib cage, and the right shoulder. And if you have the cross of the ankle, unhook your foot and point both knees back up to the ceiling and twist the knees over to the right. And if you did so on the first side, hook your right ankle over the left knee thigh area. Be as soft with yourself as you can. And if anything feels remotely uncomfortable, choose a variation with a little bit more space. Inflate the left low back. The left rib cage. And the left chest, left shoulder head. Unhook the ankle if you have the ankle crossed and point the knees up towards the ceiling. And very carefully roll over to the right side body. And peel yourself away from the ground. Scoot yourself so that the right hip is right at the edge of the right bolster, or you can move the bolster. Do whatever feels comfortable with the legs. Molly's got her knees stacked right now. Sometimes it feels better to hook one foot underneath, and the traditional variation is to place the right arch on the left knee. But you choose whatever feels right for you this evening. Then twist towards the bolster as much as you can. Then lay your belly down and your chest down, and choose a cheek. If you choose the right cheek, it's going to be a little bit softer. It won't include the neck and the twist. And if you choose the left cheek, it'll be a little bit stronger. It will include the neck into the twist. Imagine that the breath has a color. And as you inhale, the breath travels down the spine towards the pit of the belly. And as you exhale, the breath swirls around the belly button like water moving down a drain. Inhales down into the belly. Exhale swirls around the navel like water moving down a drain. And this type of breathing works with the energetic pathway called the Samana Vayu that brings balance. And twisting in general helps to neutralize the nervous systems. So if you're feeling energized, it helps you bring you back down. And if you're feeling especially tired, it will help to rise the energy level. One more breath on this side. Then peel yourself away from the bolster. Keep the seat low to the ground and just twist around until the left hip touches the other edge. And then twist towards the bolster as much as you can. Lower the belly down, the chest down, and choose a cheek. And soften the whole upper body against the bolster and the mat. And come back to the breath. Inhale deeply towards the belly button. Exhale swirls around the belly button, this time in the opposite direction. Breathing in these directed ways helps the breath to move along the vayus or breath pathways, but they also help to give the mind something to do. And oftentimes when we're trying to wind down from the day, the mind can get really chatty really quickly. So if you find that that's the case, continue to come back to the visualization of the breath. About 2 more breaths here. And peel yourself away from the bolster. Rotate around to face the front of the mat or the bed and slip the bolster over towards the side. Make sure you can still access it as you make your way down to your back. Walk your feet a little closer to the sits bones. And then lift your hips up and slip the bolster underneath you the wide way. Yeah, sit down onto the bolster. I like to have my hands on my belly because it feels nice and grounding, but if you want the arms more open towards like a T or even a cactus shape, that's totally fine as well. And then lift your legs up towards the ceiling. Lift your legs up to the ceiling. Good. You have a little pressure point right in front of the heel, so heavy that space energetically in your mind. And you can keep a little soft bend in the knees so that you can feel the blood, drain down from the legs. Sometimes it feels a little bit like a warming sensation, and sometimes it feels a little bit more like an actual second heartbeat. You're welcome to keep the legs just like this, or you can open them wide apart towards a Supta Upavishta Konasana variation. Sometimes it feels nice to let gravity be the one to pull the legs open. And if the legs are wide apart, close them together again. And bend your knees and place your feet onto the ground. Lengthen the legs forward in front of you. If both legs forward in front of you doesn't feel good for the low back, you can do one leg at a time. Breathe into the belly space. If you're doing one leg at a time, switch now so that the other leg gets even. And start to send the breath a little bit farther up towards the heart center. Imagine as you inhale that the breath moves in through the heart, and as you exhale that it spreads out in every direction. And bend your knees and place your feet onto the ground or the bed. Lift your hips up. Slip your bolster forward in front of you until you can sit all the way onto the mat or the bed. And then just lengthen the legs forward in front of you. And we'll take Savasana here. Either palms facing up in a gesture of receiving, or you can have hands along the body. And as you prepare yourself for Shavasana, I'm going to talk you through a little bedtime meditation that will help to balance the chakras. So nestle yourself into your perfect little resting shape and find your imprint. And then choose a moment to commit to stillness. Imagine that there's a little orb of light floating in the tailbone. It can be any color, any texture, temperature. And as you inhale, the light begins to grow a little bit brighter. As you exhale, the light begins to ink out and spread. Starts to illuminate the pelvic bowl. And now send this little orb of light towards the sacral area, just behind the sacrum in the middle of the pelvis. As you inhale, the light glows a little bit brighter. And as you exhale, it shines a little bit farther, illuminating the whole space of the pelvis. And send the breath and the little orb towards the belly now. Imagine that the orb floats in the middle of the abdomen. And as you inhale, it glows, warms. As you exhale, it illuminates the space of the belly and the pelvis. And again, the light moves farther, higher, towards the heart. As you inhale, it glows inside of the chest cavity. And as you exhale, the light shines through the heart space, down the trunk, through the belly, all the way to the pit of the pelvis. And now move the light towards the throat. The inhales warm the throat space like the way chocolate feels when it drains down the back of the throat. And the exhales illuminate the whole neck, almost as if you're beginning to glow from the inside out. And send the breath higher again to the third eye space. As you inhale, the orb glows inside of the skull. And as you exhale, imagine the light begins to very softly pierce through the third eye space, infiltrating the outer skin. Now move the orb outside of the body so it floats just above the crown. And as you inhale, the orb glows brighter still. And as you exhale, it rains down this light, covering your whole body in an energetic sheath of glowing warmth and protection. You may stay here and slip away into sleep. If you are going to leave your mat, and gently spread the toes, come back to the breath, and we will end here on your back. So bring the palms together at the third eye space. Press your thumbs to the third eye. And think of something or someone that you are so grateful for. Take one final deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Namaste, yogis. Have a wonderful sleep. We'll see you soon.